Chapter 34. A Wonderful World of Two. A Delightful Adventure. 1984 to 1987. It might not seem like a fairy tale beginning, but for Kuling and me, that's precisely how our story unfolded. Before we exchanged love letters or made poetic vows, we reached a pivotal decision. We would get married. Only then did our genuine romance commence with that quiet commitment shared between us. Much like life itself, crafted not from grand gestures but countless subtle moments, our love blossomed in the everyday. A lingering glance, a whispered joke, the fleeting touch of fingertips, even the occasional stumble. When we attended our first movie together, we stepped out into the Shanghai night, walking side by side beneath the warm glow of streetlights. Neon signs softly buzzed overhead, casting shimmering reflections on the rain-soaked sidewalks. As we reached a crosswalk, Kuling suddenly slipped her arm through mine. Her fingers, feather light on my sleeve.
"Can I do this?"
she asked, eyes turned up toward me, half shy, half bold. I came to a halt. The question left me speechless, not because of its content, but because of its implications. She wasn't merely inquiring if she could hold my arm. She was asking, may I open my heart completely, genuinely, without reservation? A surge of emotion filled my chest. I softly placed my hand over hers. No words were exchanged between us. We stood together as if time itself had decided to freeze. Bathed in the golden glow of the streetlight, her lips blossomed into a tender, beautiful smile that conveyed, This is what true happiness feels like. And I couldn't help but wonder, isn't this enough? Isn't this what love is meant to be? From that moment onward, she inhabited my thoughts, flowing through her smile, her laughter, and her effortless movement like a gentle breeze. As for Kuling, she was always nearby. Each day she discovered a reason to visit my office. Every day she called, sometimes just wanted to listen to my voice. When the phone rang, all my colleagues exchanged playful glances, their smiles almost audible. To them, I was caught in a charming snare, and they were relishing it. Then came the day our love stumbled into trouble. Xiangyang Park became our hidden sanctuary, nestled neatly between where I worked and where Kuling spent her days. It was a verdant oasis of tranquility amidst the city's hustle. On a spring afternoon, we escaped work during our lunch break, riding toward each other as our bicycles glided through the early blossoms and the gentle midday glow. We bought our 5-cent tickets at the entrance and stepped inside, surrounded by a comforting silence. A gentle breeze whispered through the leafy canopy, stirring the vibrant blossoms that dotted the park in bursts of color. We found a bench beneath the leafy shelter and sat together, close and happy, our hearts intertwined. We chatted softly, covering both small talk and significant topics. And then, snap.
Separate, separate, I said to separate.
The command sliced sharply through the air. Before I could react, something brushed against my shoulder, a small red flag fluttering between Kuling and me, like a teacher reprimanding a student. 2 older men hovered behind us, sporting red armbands and deep scowls. They were members of the park patrol team. I blinked in disbelief. Separate? Weren't we in the post-cultural revolution era? We were merely 2 adults enjoying a park in downtown Shanghai, not characters in a Soviet-era espionage tale. My heart raced with indignation. Was I being reprimanded for sitting too close to my fiancée? The ridiculousness of it all made me want to explode. Yet Kuling simply smiled, not out of submission but amusement. She gracefully stood up.
"Oh, so we can't date in the park?"
she mused, her tone light with mock surprise, as if she were playfully questioning a hidden rulebook that only they could see. She turned to me and casually asked,
Shall we go?
Her calm demeanor was disarming, but the two men were not done.
Which unit do you work for?
One of them barked.
Show us your IDs.
Their tone was sharp and insistent, their posture tense, as if we had just vandalized a monument. We were no longer a couple on a bench. We were suspects. With a sigh, I took out my government ID and handed it over. They seized it quickly, flipping it back and forth as they examined the details, whispering, then silence. A noticeable change swept over them. Recognition set in. Their eyes darted from my face to the ID and then to each other. Just like that, everything shifted.
Oh, you're with the city government.
The tension vanished. They straightened up, awkwardly saluting my status.
Sorry. Truly sorry. We had no idea. We were just doing our jobs, you understand. Public morals, social harmony.
I had stopped paying attention. Upon leaving Shangyang Park, silence enveloped us. I continued walking, engulfed in my thoughts, half disbelief, half quiet anger at the ridiculousness of everything. I looked at Qiuling, expecting her to be furious and see flames in her gaze. But to my surprise, she appeared completely unfazed, as if nothing had occurred. Then, with a playful sparkle in her eye, she glanced at me sideways and smiled.
Weren't they fun?
I stopped. Fun? She made a playful face, eyes sparkling, and broke into laughter. And just like that, my frustration collapsed. Qiuling possessed a unique talent. She could respond to absurdity with laughter instead of outrage, recognizing humor when others felt shame. She viewed the world not as a foe, but as a fun-filled arena of misunderstandings and quirky characters. For her, everything held a peculiar sense of enjoyment. Her go-to question was,
What's the big deal?
Regardless of any issue, inconvenience, or unwelcome surprise, she always discovered a way to laugh it off. In that moment, I realized that maybe love isn't dictated by your location or the rules you break. It simply means being with someone who embraces joy. 2 years later, we found ourselves back at Shangyang Park. But this time, we were accompanied by our newborn daughter, just a month old and peacefully swaddled in soft blankets. We hadn't just stayed together, we had grown inseparable. After our wedding, we had settled into a home just a few blocks away, and the little park that once tried to push us out had quietly become our backyard, intertwined with our narrative. Our daughter's first steps would occur under those same trees, and our lives, much like the seasons, would go back to that serene grove. This time, no one attempted to shoo us away. One night, under the silver moonlight, I gazed at her, the woman who had completely changed my life, and felt an overwhelming rush of joy and gratitude. With or without much thought, I softly said, You know, if there truly is a God, he would resemble you. She turned at me, unaware of what I just said.
What?
If God exists, I rephrased this time, he must reflect aspects of you, genuine, unwavering, honest, generous, lovely, filled with empathy and poise, ready to give selflessly without resentment. She looked at me, astonished, before bursting into nervous laughter. Shaking her head, she exclaimed,
That's absurd. You're teasing me. You must be kidding. That's ridiculous.
At that moment, we both identified as atheists. However, years later, after finding faith in Christ, we often chuckle at the innocence of those discussions, our youthful certainty, and our spiritual blindness. Yet, hidden within those seemingly light-hearted exchanges, we now see something profound, a divine seed, quietly sown. Despite our ignorance, hints of grace were already flourishing, subtle indications that God was closer than we realized. And we were not far off. God watched us even then, smiling as he listened to our awkward thoughts. Perhaps he took joy in our attempts to articulate divine goodness using the only vocabulary we truly understood, love of each other. After our wedding, our street-side romance evolved into a symphony of exploration. We traversed the mighty Yangtze River, explored Zhujiang, climbed the misty slopes of Lushan, and wandered through the poetic canals of Suzhou and Hangzhou. We were in Fujian, where Qiuling was born, gazing from Gulangyu Island across the waters towards Kinmen. We roamed the grand halls of the Forbidden City. We climbed the ancient remnants of the Great Wall. We strolled through the imperial gardens of Chengde. We surveyed the ruins of the old summer palace. Whether we navigated the bustling alleys of Shanghai or stood before the magnificence of China's historical marvels, the sentiment remained constant, a journey shared, mirroring our bond. We both sought a companion for life to journey with. We found each other. We yearned for true love, nurturing it with every step. We traveled toward the same horizon, pursuing not just a destination but a shared dream. And always, we spoke openly, laughed freely, and held tightly to one another, whether crossing crowded streets or wandering into the unknown. In the end, all we truly wanted was a home filled with love on this earth, or perhaps in the heavens above. To Qiuling, everything about our time together was fun. Perhaps, in her heart, our world of two had already become a small glimpse of paradise. Until one day. One quiet evening, 10 months after the birth of our daughter Yunlu, Qiuling turned to me in bed, her voice barely above a whisper.
I want to go to university,
she said. The words were soft, but they hit me like thunder. We had just returned from a week-long trip to Beijing. She had never mentioned such a thing, not once during our trip. And now, out of nowhere, here it was, a dream, fully formed. Great, I said, masking my surprise. For many of us who grew up in the considerable shadow of the Cultural Revolution, attending university signified more than just a goal. It represented a revival of dreams that history had long obscured. I was completing the self-study and exam program and getting my bachelor's degree at East China Normal University soon. I understood the effort it demanded. Conversely, Qiuling, cheerful and always laughing, thought she could effortlessly navigate the experience like yet another joyful tale to chuckle at. Well then, I smiled. You'd better prepare for the entrance exam. She waved a hand.
Oh, forget the exam. Just talk to someone at the Education Bureau. You know people, right? Tell them I'll just start classes directly.
I blinked. What?
Yeah,
she said confidently.
I don't need to take the test. Just ask them to let me in.
Oh my, she really thought I ran a university. This was her first ever formal request to pull strings, and I hesitated to approve it. Nonetheless, I did not want to dampen her newfound enthusiasm. The following day, I visited the Education Bureau and talked to the head of the bureau. He listened attentively, smiled, and replied,
Perhaps she should sit for the entrance exam first. If she doesn't pass, we can consider other options.
I agreed. However, one small detail to note was that the exam was set to take place in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks. When I told her, Qiuling's face fell. Her dream, still so fresh and bright, now seemed to darken before her eyes.
I can't do it. I just can't,
she murmured.
That's why I wanted you to pull some strings. I haven't touched history, geography, politics, or literature in years. I'm terrible at all that. And now I only have 3 weeks? No way. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
I could see how much it meant to her, and I could also see how defeated she already felt. I was so touched, and I felt so sorry for her, my darling. I resolved to help her pass the test just as my own. You can do it, I said. I'll help you. She looked at me, doubtful.
Really? You'll take the test for me?
I laughed. No, but I'll help you get ready.
But I'll fail.
She collapsed again.
It's impossible. I can't do it. I know it. I can't.
You will, I told her firmly. You will pass. Trust me. She stared at me, bewildered. She couldn't grasp my true meaning. The next morning, I revisited the Education Bureau. I brought back a box overflowing with high school textbooks, more than a dozen volumes, along with teachers' guides and a decade's worth of past entrance exams from before the Cultural Revolution. When I got home and dropped the stack on the floor, Kuling looked at it as if I had just toppled the Great Wall into our living room.
Oh my,
She said in astonishment.
Is all of this for me? I've never encountered so many books at once, much less had to read them all. This might be the end of me.
No, I said. You do not need to read them. I'll handle it for you. Concentrate on math, your strong suit. I'll take care of the rest. Politics, geography, history, and literature. I'll condense everything so you can easily remember it. Her expression grew tense.
Really? Do you believe I can?
Yes, you can. Thus began the most intense 3 weeks of our lives. Kuling could not ask for leave. She had to work. She sent our baby Yunlu to live with Grandma. Each morning I handed her a list of notes to memorize. She discreetly studied them during breaks, making the most of every spare moment at her workplace. Every night she returned home, and I put her through rigorous drills, questions, corrections, and tests. By the time she collapsed into bed each night, exhausted and murmuring that her eyelids were fusing shut, my work began. I stayed up, combing through textbooks under the dim glow of the desk lamp, distilling dense chapters into bite-sized truths she could absorb the next day. I became her filter, her night shift scholar extracting only what mattered. For 3 grueling weeks, our small world of 2 became a hub of exam preparation dedicated entirely to Kuling. The exam days finally arrived, 3 in total. Every morning, I accompanied her to the testing center. She glanced back at me with nervousness each time, resembling a child standing at the edge of something immense and unfathomable. Her usually vibrant eyes, filled with joy, were now wide open in anxiety and doubt. She clutched the admission slip tightly as if it were a lifeline. I had never seen her like this. She was so courageous, so radiant, and yet so very human in her apprehension. As the days passed by, her confidence flourished. One afternoon, she stepped out of the test center, her face aglow with a triumphant smile.
You won't believe this,
she chuckled.
Every single essay topic you advised me to memorize appeared. How did you know?
Seeing her happiness, I merely grinned and shrugged. Magic. 2 weeks later, the results arrived. Kuling passed with excellent marks. She was officially accepted into Shanghai University's business school, where she would major in accounting. She had done it, her dream fulfilled. There were no shortcuts, strings pulled, or special favors, just grit, faith, wrapped in love. Love is like life itself, a quiet force that awakens what we never knew lay hidden within us. It's a light that reveals our deepest reserves of strength, our untapped gifts, and our truest selves. That was the ultimate fun time for Kuling, for me, for both of us. The world of 2 together.